Do you have a tight groin or tight inner thighs? Today we're going to be zeroing in on hip adductor strength, giving you exercises ranked from easy to advanced to best target your hip adductor muscles, otherwise also known as your groin muscles. As a physical therapist, I find that a lot of us neglect our groin muscles in our strength training regime and in our physical activities because we are always very focused on the sagittal plane of movement, namely this front and back plane, instead of also working on improving the frontal plane of movement, which is the side-to-side plane. As a result, a lot of us may not stretch or strengthen our adductor muscles as much as the other muscles like our quads and hamstrings. When we don't train what we are weaker or deficient in, we are losing stability, mobility, and muscle length, and that is the exact opposite of what we need. In this video, let's first go over the anatomy of our adductor muscles, and then, like the formats of my previous videos, I will outline for you a tier list covering all the best exercises for us to do in order to strengthen our hip adductors. If you like the format of my videos, hit the like button below to help me and my channel out as I continue putting these videos out for you. I will also link in the description below the tier list videos that outline the best and worst exercises to strengthen the gluteus medius, the gluteus minimus, and the gluteus maximus below. So feel free to check those out when you're finished with this one. Our hip adductor muscles are these muscles right here, and they include the adductor longus, the adductor brevis, and the adductor magnus. The adductor longus originates from the pubic body under the crest and inserts onto the middle third of the medial linea aspera. It is innervated by the obturator nerve, and its primary function include hip adduction, hip flexion, and hip external rotation. The adductor brevis is a small muscle and originates from the inferior pubic ramus and pubic body, and inserts onto the lesser trochanter and proximal linea aspera. It is also innervated by the obturator nerve, and its primary function is hip adduction and hip flexion. The adductor magnus is the biggest of the three adductor muscles of the adductor group and originates from the inferior pubic ramus and ischiotuberosity and inserts onto the linea aspera and the adductor tubercle. The adductor magnus's adductor part is innervated by the obturator nerve, and the hamstring part is innervated by the sciatic nerve. Its primary function is hip adduction, hip flexion, and hip extension. Again, like my previous videos, I will be listing and demonstrating these exercises from the easiest to advanced, going from D to C, B, A, and S. So be sure to stay till the very end for those spicy exercises that will be challenging for most people. So the first exercise that we'll go over that will go into the D tier is the adductor squeeze. So this is a great beginner activation exercise because you're using your adductor muscles in an isometric contraction, squeezing it and holding it instead of doing repetitions. To do this, put a ball or a yoga block in between your knees. You're going to be laying on your back with your core engaged. You're just going to be squeezing those two thighs together. Hold it for about 10-15 seconds, and that would be your 1 rep. So try your best to squeeze it as evenly as possible and as hard as possible. Squeeze the ball with both your knees. Hold it for 10-15 seconds. And I like to do 2 sets of 8 for this exercise. The next exercise is the glute bridge with adductor squeeze. This exercise goes into the C tier because this is slightly harder when we're combining both the glute bridge with the adductor squeeze, working on the coordination of movement to work on that pelvic stability and pelvic control. To do this exercise, using the same yoga block or the ball, placing it in between your knees, and this time you're going to be doing the glute bridge with the adductor squeeze. Same thing, make sure your core is engaged, and you're gonna squeeze those two thighs together as hard as you can, and then you come up into a bridge while you're squeezing the ball. Hold it, squeeze it up top, so squeeze your glutes and squeeze the ball. Hold it for about 3 seconds, come back down, and then again, squeeze it, come up, and squeezing the ball really, really hard, squeezing your butt really, really hard, and come back down. I like to squeeze at the top for 3 seconds and do 3 sets of 12. So like I said, this exercise is a great beginner's exercise because it gets you to activate those adductor muscles in a very gentle manner. So the next exercise we have that also goes into the C tier is the side lying inner thigh lift. This exercise we do tend to see in a lot of inner thigh workouts, so here it is. So you're going to still lay on the mat, you're going to be on your side. I like to cross the leg over like so, and the bottom leg is going to be straight, and that is going to be your working leg. To do the side lying inner thigh lift, all you're going to do is lift up that bottom leg, hold it for 3 seconds, and come back down. Again, lift as high as you possibly can. Hold it 1, 2, 3, and come back down. This exercise, you're working against gravity, so that's why this exercise is slightly harder than the previous two, but you're also not adding extra resistance on just yet. You're just working against gravity. And you're doing repetitions instead of doing an isometric squeeze with the adductor muscles. There you have it. That's the inner thigh leg lifts. And this exercise goes into the C tier. This next exercise is the standing band adduction. So because we're going to be using a resistance band, and we can easily progress this exercise by using a band that's a little bit tougher than a more elastic band, I put the standing band adduction into the B tier. To do this exercise, I like to have some balance support. So I like to have a stick so then it just keeps you grounded. You're gonna have a band that's close to your feet because you want it as low as possible. So you can loop it, and then you're gonna loop it around your ankle. And then you're going to try to get some tension on the band, using a little bit of that support, staying grounded, having your core engaged. Pull that band inwards using your inner thigh and come back. And again, pull it in. I like to hold it for about 3 seconds and come back slowly. So you want to be controlling that concentric and eccentric movement. The concentric is when you're using your adductor muscles, and the eccentric is you controlling it slowly, the letting go. So pull it in, hold it 1, 2, 3, and then come back into that stretch. And then again, pull and slowly into the stretch. I always like to make sure you've got the 3 points of contact, the tripod foot on the right side right now, and then you're going to be using both of your adductors to stabilize you. So 3 sets of 12 is my typical exercise prescription. Again, this is the standing band adduction, and this exercise belongs in the B tier. So next we have the sumo squat, which also goes into the B tier. I like the sumo squat because it is more of a functional exercise, and it also helps to target your adductors. To do this exercise, you want to be in a wide stance with your toes pointing out. So you're kind of in a duck feet position. And right now, let's just practice it without any weights, just with gravity, and making sure 3 points of contact on both your feet. Your feet are turned out, got a wide stance, and squat down, like so. So try to squat down as low as you can without you tilting your pelvis. Typically, you don't want to be over tilting where the butt winks down. And I like this exercise because you can also load it with a dumbbell. So to make it harder, feel free to just grab a dumbbell and the exact same stance and come into that sumo squat. So this being a more functional exercise, I put this exercise, the sumo squat, into the B tier still. The next exercise that goes into the A tier is the lateral lunge and also the Cossack squat. So there are going to be 2 variations that I'm going to show you in this exercise demonstration. The first one is the lateral lunge. So for the lateral lunge, I personally like to use a slider, or if you don't have a slider at home, you can use a towel. So essentially what I like to do is come down into the lunge and come back. If you want to bias your adductors, you can certainly turn your toes out on your stance leg and go into that lunge. You're going to slide it out and then push through the ground with this stance leg and come back in. This is a great exercise because you can also easily load it with a dumbbell. And I like to hold it here. It is not in the way of your legs. And you're going to slide it in and out. So this exercise is a great functional exercise. That gets you to target both adductors at the same time. A little bit more on your stance leg, but you're also going to be using the opposite adductor just because you're sliding it in as well. I like to prescribe about 3 sets of 12 for this exercise. This exercise, since it is more of a unilateral exercise, doing one side at a time, I put this exercise, the lateral lunge, into the A tier. So also in the same category, we have the Cossack squat. So with this exercise, you don't need a slider. So if you don't have hardwood floor or you don't have a towel or a slider, feel free to try this one first. We're also doing this in more of a unilateral manner, and that's why this exercise also belongs into the A tier. So you're going to go down into this squatting position, like so. A couple variations you can do. You can alternate side to side like so, going into that deep range, and you should really feel that stretch side to side when you're doing this. So push into that foot, alternate, push into that foot, alternate, push, and push. That's one variation you can do. The other variation you can do is keeping that foot on the ground and going side to side like so. Same thing though, you're going to be pushing from the outstretched leg to alternate, alternate, and alternate. You can easily do this by grabbing a dumbbell and loading it this way. So if you have tight groin muscles, you probably can't get as low. Just see what you're able to do and do about 3 to 4 sets of 12. So the Cossack squat goes into the A tier. So now we're still onto the A tier. We've got the Copenhagen plank on your knee. So this one is a modified Copenhagen side plank because it is slightly easier than the traditional version. So that's why this exercise still belongs in the A tier. To do this, you need a step or a bench, whatever works, so that you can elevate that top leg. And you're gonna put your knee on the elevated step. And what you're going to do is lift up like so. The whole body lifts up into a side plank with your elbow. You're gonna hold it for about 10 to 15 seconds if you can, and then you can set it down. You're using your adductor right here in a modified side plank position, and lift it up and hold. So that's the bent knee Copenhagen side plank. This belongs in the A tier. Now we're onto the S tier, the superior tier. So these exercises are on the top of the list for any adductor muscle strengthening programs. So this is the traditional Copenhagen side plank with a straight leg on an elevated step. Feel free to use an elevated step like this or a bench in the gym if you've got one. Essentially, your top leg again is going to be straight. You're going to be on an elevated step, elbow at about 90 degrees, and you're going to come up first like so, and then lift up everything into that plank. And you're going to try to hold it. Start with 15 seconds if you're able to, and then see if you can progress to 30 seconds, and then to a minute. It's really however much you're able to do, and try to progress from there. You can see that I'm already sweating because it's summer, it's hot, and these exercises are really difficult. If you give this a try, comment down below because it's definitely giving me a third workout today. Foot on the step, everything lifted, and you're gonna hold it. Try to keep yourself in a straight line best that you can, and hold it for 15 seconds to start, then 30, then a minute, as you can tolerate. So again, the traditional Copenhagen side plank goes in the S tier. All right, so we're now onto the last one. The last exercise on our superior tier of our adductor muscle strengthening tier list is the Copenhagen side plank with leg lifts as well. So we're going to be holding that Copenhagen side plank, and we're also going to be doing different movements so we get additional things other than that isometric hold. Foot is going to be on the step with your leg straight, and then you're going to come up like that, and then you're going to do repetitions like so. Bottom leg, come down, and then come up. Come down, come up, come down, come up. So you're getting both inner thighs working. My adductors are not the strongest, so if you can do a better Copenhagen leg lift, let me know down in the comments below. I think that's a wrap with my exercise demonstrations. It is hot. So there you have it. Hopefully, you now have a better idea on how to get started on strengthening your hip adductor muscles. The hip adductor muscle group is so often the missing link to why your groin muscles may feel tight all the time, despite all the stretches that you do to try to lengthen your groin muscles. Stretching is great until it is not achieving what you're trying to achieve. So give these adductor group strengthening exercises a try and your groin muscles may just start to loosen up for you. And you will also for sure feel stronger in your core and stronger functionally as a result. If you haven't done so yet, hit the like button below if you enjoyed the content, and I hope to see you in my next one.
And make sure you do your neck exercise.